Hello, I'm Tохабаева Akmaraal. I'm an English teacher in Jambal Humanities High College named after Abai. Subject Stylistics. Theme Lexical Stylistic Devices. The aim of our lesson is to identify and understand some of the most frequently used literary devices. This lesson will be interesting and useful as for students and so for teachers too, who deal with literature not only regarding reading and knowing the plot of it, but who is very interested in analyzing the text. I want to start my lesson with the next quotation by the philologist Sherba. A stylistically colored word is like a drop of paint added to a glass of pure water and coloring the whole of it. It shows that stylistically colored word is very colorful and it is change the meaning of the whole text or of the whole sentence. Before speaking about lexical stylistic devices, I want to say some words about close reading. Most students, while making stylistic analysis, they confuse close reading with lexical stylistic devices. Close reading, it is an interaction between the reader and their text. It's about making careful observation of a text. In other words, it's a composition or construction or a structure of a whole text. This diagram will help us to understand what is a close reading. While close reading, students have to find out from the story introduction, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution, or in other words, the end. What is a lexical stylistic devices? Lexical stylistic devices are techniques writers use to engage their readers beyond the literal meaning of the text. Today, in our lesson, we deal with separate words and word combinations. Each writer uses some definite types of literary device in order to emphasize the meaning and help us to understand the point of view of a writer. In this lesson, we'll learn annotating the text and finding out the real resources and techniques that are used by authors. Today in our lesson, I will name some of the most frequently used lexical stylistic devices. The first one is a simile. Simile is a comparison using like or as. It usually compares two dissimilar objects. For example, his feet were as big as boats. Here we are comparing the size of feet to boats. As you see, simile is a comparing one thing to another through using the words like or as. Another one is a metaphor. Metaphor is similar to the previous one. Metaphor is a comparison between two nouns that doesn't use like or as. For example, her voice is a nice song. We are comparing the sound of her voice to a nice sounding song. Another example, she's a shining star in her class. Here, in metaphor, author is comparing some features of things or ideas with other things. Next one is alliteration. Alliteration, it is a repetition of consonant sounds. For example, Peter Pipe picked a peck of pickled pepper. Here author used alliteration for creating some musical features to the text. Another one is allusion. Allusion is a casual reference to a famous historical or literary figure or event. For example, if it doesn't stop raining, I'm going to build an ark. Ark, in order to translate allusion, we have a good knowledge about history background. For example, ark, it is a thing which were built in an ancient Greece. Another example, my sister has so many pets, I'm going to call myself Old MacDonald. MacDonald, if you see the cartoon, MacDonald had a lot of cats and dogs. That's why here MacDonald is used. Next one is a hyperbole. Hyperbole, it is a great exaggeration to create emphasis or effect. For example, I'm so hungry, I could eat a horse. You know that a person cannot eat a horse at once. You know that it can be done. That's why you have to know that it is just exaggeration. Just also want to say that he is very, very hungry. Another example, he is as skinny as toothpick. Here also want to show that he is very thin. Next one is an oxymoron. Oxymoron, it's a figure of speech in which two words with opposing meaning are used together intentionally for effect. Some examples to oxymoron. Oxymoron, for example, big baby, open secret, passive aggressive, original copy, and others. Here in oxymoron, when we use opposite features of something. Irony. Irony is expressing one's meaning by using language that normally means the opposite. Irony can serve several purposes. First one is to be humorous, the second to criticize, the third is to emphasize. Examples: the weather was as balmy as a winter day in Siberia. A fireman afraid of fire. The blind leading the blind. Next one is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia, it's a word that imitates the sound it represents. For example, splash, bang, crash, tick-tock, and others. In onomatopoeia, also adds the sounds of an object to make more impressive. As usual, filmmakers, in order to show the sound, they use different computer effects. But what about writers? Writers use onomatopoeias like boom, ha, yeah, poof, and other sounds of things. I think that the previous devices were clear for you. That's why let's do some activities. This activity's task is to match the sentences with suitable lexical devices. Here on the one part of page you see the different words, different sentences which were taken from the stories. And another you see different lexical devices. Your task is to match them according to their meaning. For example, the first is example. You are my guardian angel. It is a metaphor. Find out the others. Okay, your time is over. Let's check your answers. He was a busy bee. It is an irony. Your eyes are like sunshine. Pay attention to the word like. When do we use it? Yes, we use it in simile, when we compare the things. Next one. My house is 1,000,000 miles from here. Pay attention to the phrase 1,000,000 miles. Yes, you are right. It's an exaggeration. It is hyperbole. I saw a pretty ugly cat. Pay attention to the phrase a pretty ugly. They are opposite meaning. You are right, it's an oxymoron. Chocolate is my Achilles heel. Achilles heel is used when we want to describe someone's weak point, and it's taken from the ancient Greek myth. It is allusion. You are right. Next, will Walter wait for wonderful Wendy? What do we see? We see the repetition of consonant sound W. It is alliteration. The next one, the car horn beeped loudly. What do we see or hear? We hear the sound of car beep. It is onomatopoeia. You are right. Thank you. Let's do another activity, another example. Here, your task is to read the sentence taken from the different stories and to find out lexical stylistic devices and to explain what technique is being used. For example, children sleeping softly in their bedroom bunks. Here we can see the repetition of sounds sleeping softly bunks. It is alliteration. Continue doing next sentences. Thank you. Your home task will be to read the text A Day's Wait by Ernest Hemingway and to make a lexical stylistic device. Thank you for your attention.